Coordinator here at the University of Michigan.
And I am Brian Smyser. I'm the other recruiter here at U of M.
I guess I should have told you, I served in Guatemala from 2007 to 2009 as an agricultural marketing volunteer.
And I served in Malawi from 2010 to 2012 doing environmental work.
So we just want to welcome you all to our nomination and send-off party. We're very excited that you guys could all be here to celebrate the Peace Corps, celebrate the Peace Corps volunteers who are serving and those who are about to start off on their journey. And us RPCVs all know how exciting that can be. So tonight, hopefully you all were able to pick up an agenda. We're going to have a couple of keynote speakers and some other speakers to talk about different aspects of service before we celebrate everyone who's here with us tonight. We'd also like to thank a few people. We'd like to thank Bill and Kelly over at the Education Abroad office. That's where our office is located, and they really help support us in all the recruiting that we do here at Michigan. We'd also like to thank Judy Torres back there in the back, our recruiter in Chicago who we work with, and most of the applicants and nominees and invitees have definitely worked with her a lot over the last year. We'd also like to thank Jean Paul and Harvey Summers for all of their hard work and dedication to helping us be able to complete our third goal here, recruiting and letting people know here in the Ann Arbor and Michigan community about the Peace Corps. So with that said, I'll let Brian introduce our first keynote speaker.
All right, so to get us started, we're going to have someone speak who has a very unique experience with Peace Corps, not as a Peace Corps volunteer, but the recipient of Peace Corps service. So we're going to call up Joseph Ansong. He's a Ghanaian who works currently in the Department of Earth and Environmental Sciences. And he is now working for Professor Brian Arbic, who was a Peace Corps volunteer both in Liberia and then Ghana after that, and was Joseph's teacher. So Joseph's going to talk a little bit about what Peace Corps means to Ghanaians and host country nationals in general, and all about that second and third goal of cultural exchange between Americans and the host cultures that we serve.
Thank you, Brian, for the nice introduction. So I'm Joseph Ansong, and I'll talk about the influence of Peace Corps in my life and as well as my career path. So as Brian said, it's a story about how Brian Arbic came to Ghana about 20 years ago. He taught me maths and physics, and somehow we got together again, and I'm working in his lab. And so I'll walk you through various events that happened along the way. And so I'll give you a brief background of my village and my birth and where I come from. I'll talk a little bit about what happened in between, and then I'll give you a story of the reunion. And so I was raised in the northern part of Ghana. So that's Ghana, and the northern part is right there. If you zoom in, you have a map of the village where I come from. That's Bube right here. And I went to school in Damago, which is here. That's where Brian came to teach me in secondary school. And Tamale is another place where I did my A-levels, which is like high school over here. So that's my village, that's my mom, my dad, and that's my most favorite picture a long time ago. And so my dad was a farmer, my mom was a petty trader. She sells things like veggies and peanuts, corn in the marketplace. Both of them were illiterate, but they were quite serious about schooling their kids. And so Bube had a population of about 5,000. There was no electricity. They do have some electricity now. There was no running water and still no running water. And our house would have looked something like that. And so this is where I did my elementary school, this village called Bube. And from here, I went to Damago for my secondary school, which is like maybe junior high over here. And so you see, that's welcome to Damago Secondary School, or it's called DAS. And that was me and some of my friends. And so this was where Brian came. That's his picture about 20 years ago. And so So in school we did something called O-levels, which is ordinary level. It's a British system of education. So you either did science, business, or the arts. And most of the difficulties were in the sciences. I was in the science class. And that was mostly because we had lack of science teachers, which is a problem generally in the country. Damango, where I went to school, was quite remote. Most of the teachers wanted to stay in the big cities. And so you didn't have good teachers coming over to teach us. There was lack of science facilities. If you want to do science, you need labs and good equipment. We didn't have that. And so this was where Brian's help actually came. He had to improvise a lot to do lab experiments. He was a physics and a math teacher. And so actually without Brian's help, I'm sure physics, for instance, especially I would have failed physics. Because that was, I mean, there are so many factors, but for lack of time, physics, I'm sure, was one of the subjects he's helped us with mostly. So with Brian's help, I passed my O-levels, and I went to a new school for the A-levels, which is like the high school. I did math, physics, and chemistry. Again, there were the same challenges, you know, lack of teachers. Our math teacher, I remember, covered just 1/6 of what we were supposed to do. The physics teacher was not even around most of the time. He was out on his own trips to make extra, money. The chemistry teacher was a lab technician, and so he didn't know much about what we were even supposed to do. And so you had to take out your textbook and read most of the time, work hard and pray and hope that you pass the exams and get admission to enter the university. So it was a challenge. So having somebody like Brian come around for the O-levels was a good starting point for us, And so I passed and had admission. I went into University of Cape Coast from 96 to 99. That was me and most of my friends from the northern part of Ghana. So we are wearing this smock. It's a traditional dress in the northern part of Ghana. So when you make it from the north to the southern part where you had most of the universities, you are really, it's an achievement. You are really happy you were able to make it, especially if you did science. I graduated in 99. I was the best student, so I was asked to give a public speech. That was my first one. So after graduation, I did a 1-year service at the university as a teaching assistant. I got a scholarship to do a master's program in Holland. So that was my first time outside Ghana. That's my right here. Right there. With some of my colleagues, some from Russia and China. It was an international program, so you have people from different countries. And I should mention that when I did my A-levels, that was the last time I met Brian. Brian came over to visit me for the A-levels, and that was around 92, I think. Okay, since then, we're not in touch until, well, I'll get to that. So I finished my master's MSc in engineering mathematics, and the plan was to go back to Ghana. But before I went back, I passed through England for a brief visit. Whilst I was there, I had a letter from the University of Alberta to do a PhD program in applied mathematics. So I quickly rushed back to Ghana, got married to my long-time girlfriend. She's right there. Most of my colleagues from Ghana School from a long time ago, they came over. So most of these were Brian's students as well, about 90% of them. So they came over for moral support. Right after that, I went back to Canada to pursue a PhD in applied maths. I worked with this professor, Bruce Sutherland. All the while, I had no idea that Bruce even knew Brian, not knowing they were even friends. But I had no idea. So I did my PhD with him, doing mostly laboratory experiments in fluids. So I finished in 2009. You can tell I was happy to finish. It was a long time coming. And so that was it. Now, just before I finished my PhD, I got a letter from one of my friends from Damogo School as well. And his name is Mustafa. He wrote me and said he's been in touch with Brian. And so I quickly wrote an email to Brian saying something like, this is Joseph, your former students from Damango, you know, I'm finishing my PhD, where are you now, blah, blah, blah. And so Brian wrote back the following day, and he was very happy to be in touch with me again. So Brian invited me over to come. So I came to Michigan for my first time to visit him. And what surprised me most was that when I visited, I realized that Brian was mostly in the same field as I did my PhD too, which was a big coincidence. You know, he was doing physics of fluids too, just as I did. And so we talked about research and other things, and realized that we could work together on some things. So I went back to Canada, said goodbye to my friends and my colleagues, and then I moved to the US in 2011 with my family. So that was how we got in touch after 18, 20 years about. So the important thing is that now I did, as I said, I did mostly small scale lab experiments in fluids. You can see that was my our lab with that small tank. Now working with Brian, I'm gaining some more experience in how to simulate, you know, global scale waves in the ocean and things like that. So from small to large scale, which is enriching my experience as, you know, as a researcher, and will definitely help my career in the future too. So thank you very much, and thanks Brian for coming.
Thank you, Joseph. Yeah, I think it.
Okay.
I think that's a really great story. I think it helps you know, all of us remember why we do what we do and why we make the decision to serve in the Peace Corps. And you know, and we thank our families for being supportive of that, because it's not all the time during our service that we get to see the difference that we make in our service. So we appreciate you coming, Joseph. Next, we're going to have RPCV, Jimmy Schneidewind, come up, and I'm sure he's going to tell me how I said his name wrong. To give us a little presentation about cultural integration. And then afterwards, we're going to ask all of our RPCVs to come up front and introduce themselves, where they serve, and what kind of projects they did.
So how's everybody feeling about Peace Corps? I can tell some of you are like, yeah, Peace Corps. Others of you are like, I'm not so sure. Well, I want to first thank Brian and Mackenzie for inviting me to speak here tonight. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that I hosted a Peace Corps potluck at my house a couple months ago and fed them very well. And I also want to congratulate the prospective volunteers here for, first of all, making the decision to pursue an experience like Peace Corps, and secondly, for successfully navigating your way through the Peace Corps application process, which at times can be more difficult than the Peace Corps experience itself. And I also want to congratulate the family members and the friends of some of the prospective volunteers, because whether or not you know it, you too are embarking on an incredible journey. So hats off to you for consenting. So I'm here to talk today about cultural integration. You could tell from my title slide, I'm not quite sure what cultural integration is. I'm going to talk about it from my perspective. And when I think about the best example of cultural integration during my Peace Corps experience, I think about my biological mother and my Mozambican Peace Corps mother. My biological mother is the one on the left. So my biological mother, I don't normally refer to her that way, but just to distinguish between the two. This is a woman that has an amazing capacity to love and to care, and I think for these reasons it was difficult for her to watch me leave for the Peace Corps, not knowing for the next 2 years if I was going to be around somebody that would love and care for me and to wrap their arms around me when I was feeling blue the way that she did. Which brings me to my Mozambican Peace Corps mother, and she's the one on the right, and her name is Ana Maria. And Ana Maria, this woman is a force of nature. Okay, when I came to my town, it was day one. This woman swooped me up, basically adopted me. And this is the kind of woman that does not invite you to lunch and dinner. She demands that you come for lunch and dinner. And it was during these lunches and dinners that she taught me nearly everything that I learned about Mozambique. She told me about the culture, she taught me Portuguese, she told me the best places to eat in town, which was always her house. But she really took care of me. And I was lucky during my Peace Corps service to have access to cell phone service enough that I could speak to my family, my biological family, almost every week. And so by the time they came and visited me a year and a half into my service, they were well aware of the role that Ana Maria had played in my integration in Mozambique. So the day that my family gets there, Ana, she insists that we all come over for lunch, and this woman prepares a feast that dwarfs anything that you've ever seen, I can promise you. And when we get there, I greet her, and then I step aside to introduce my family. And standing directly behind me was my biological mother. And, you know, seeing this moment, the two of them face to face, you know, this moment kind of froze in time for me. You know, it's these two, the two mothers of my life staring at each other. And my mother, a woman who has been known to be moved to tears by commercials with sappy piano music, she breaks down. And she grabs me and she pulls me to her side and she starts saying in English how grateful she is to Ana Maria for all the things that she'd done for me during my service. And I'm starting to translate into Portuguese. And before I can even get a few words out, Ana, you know, she's looking at my mom's face and she can understand what she's trying to convey without even understanding the words that she's saying. And she too breaks down. And the two of them basically shove me out of the way and embrace. And, you know, it's this moment that I think of when I think about the cultural integration, because there's nothing that needed to be explained between the two. These are two women that come from backgrounds and circumstances that could not be more different. They're two women who had never even been to the country where the other was from. They couldn't communicate verbally, but they understand the love of a mother, and they understand what it's like to be away from your child. And they understand that this is a common characteristic and a core that is common regardless of divides. And so this is the moment that I think of. Now, exactly 1 year and about 4 hours ago, my biological mother passed away. A few months after that, I returned to Mozambique for the first time during my since I completed my Peace Corps service. And I saw Ana Maria, and we embraced, and we started excitedly talking about the details of our lives. And like any respectful Mozambican, she asks me the same questions that you ask when you haven't seen somebody for a while. And that's, how have you been? How's your health? Why are you so skinny? Did they not serve rice where you're from? And then she asks about the health of my family. And I tell her about my mother, and she gives me her condolences. She reacts with reverence. And after a few moments of being thoughtful, she starts telling me the way that she's cared for the Peace Corps volunteers that have served in my town after I completed my service. And I start to understand that she's telling me this because in her mind, this is the way that she's honoring my mother, is by caring for the volunteers that have served in my town. And this is the way that she's honoring their mothers too, is by focusing on this core and this common characteristic, which is love and being afraid that you're far away from your child and wanting to know that your child is going to be taken care of. So to me, this is the most pure and perfect example of what cultural integration is. It's not one person trying to adapt to the culture of another, but realizing that there are these very few characteristics that regardless of nationality, regardless of language, regardless of culture, that they are the same. So in closing, to the prospective volunteers, I just want to wish you luck in your service, and I want to say to you that I sincerely hope that during your service you will discover, you will cultivate, and you will experience the same type of cultural integration that I was able to experience during my Peace Corps service. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. Now we'd like to have all of our RPCVs come down and stand up here in front, and we're going to have you all introduce yourself where you served, what sector you served in, and then if you could tell us one thing you brought to service and never needed. So Harvey, we'll start with you.
I'm Harvey Summers. I was in Thailand as a TEFL volunteer 1967 to 1970. Peace Corps was such an important part of my life that I'm excited 40 plus years later to be here watching the next generation of volunteers leave. I hope that sometime after the year 2050, you'll be standing in the same room for that generation. I don't remember things that I took that I didn't need, but I will mention that I brought back something that I needed amazingly dearly, my Thai language teacher, my wife of 43 years.
I'm Mark Bukowski. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in the mid-70s. Down in Latin America, I served in Peru, Costa Rica, and Guatemala. As an engineer, all I have to say is that Peace Corps, in the 40 years I've worked in engineering, the best memories that I have and the most satisfaction I've ever had on a project is the projects I did as a young engineer in Peace Corps down in Costa Rica and other parts of Latin America. Like Harvey, I also got married down there. My wife's up there, Cecilia. Best thing I ever did. We've been married for over 5 years. And I can't think of anything else that I brought back that I haven't needed. Latin America, like was expressed earlier, there isn't that much cultural difference between the countries. You go down there and it's not that much different from here. So I congratulate the people that are going to serve. I think you're making a great decision, and like Harvey says, I hope that you come back and help out later with future volunteers. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Kim Coyne. I'm a returned volunteer from Paraguay. I served from 1995 to 99. I somehow missed the 2-year message. I spent my first 2 years, I was a business volunteer, I spent my first 2 years working with the cooperative in a rural community, which was 6 hours off out of the capital and down a dirt road, and you got rained in or you got rained out, and that was how life was. And then I extended my service and I worked for a little over 1.5 years on a pilot project for municipal service development. It was a great experience. I loved every minute of it. No, mostly. Maybe not every minute, but I definitely loved it. So I did not bring back a husband. So I thought about it. It just didn't, So we'll leave it at that. And I wish everybody the best as you are about to embark on a very exciting adventure in your lifetime.
I'm Jean Paul. I was in Brazil from 64 to 66. And I can't remember what I did. Actually, one of the things I did that I found interesting was work on a polio vaccine campaign. We had a polio epidemic in the northeast of Brazil when I lived there, and we went into the interior and had to convince the parents who had no education, so they did not know how diseases were transmitted, to let us vaccinate their children. I'm going to turn the question around here and tell you about what I took with me to Brazil that I didn't need, and that was just about everything. We were allowed to send a trunk by sea. It took 6 months to catch up with me. Obviously, if I hadn't needed it in the first 6 months, I wasn't going to need it the next 1.5 years. And I didn't. I had to throw the trunk out because before I left this country, somebody told me, I can't understand why I listened, to take cocoa with me. So I had packed 2 vacuum-packed cans of cocoa in my trunk. Sea freight gets damp. The cocoa, the vacuum packed seals broke. The cocoa went out all over everything, and everything in the trunk was completely encased in cocoa. So, my word of advice is take almost nothing. You could probably get just about everything you need when you get to the country. I want to mention one other thing. I run a mentoring program here for newly returned volunteers, but also for people in the application process. And I'm very proud that a number of the people who are here tonight who are going to be leaving for Peace Corps, they don't know when often, but sometime in the next few months, or even in the next year for those who have just applied. Some of those people, some of our mentees are here tonight, and I'm very pleased and proud of them.
My name is Brian Arbick. I'm from the Upper Peninsula, and I went to University of Michigan as an undergrad. I mention this because my story has a lot to do with U of M. And I was recruited out of the office here, and the first country I was supposed to go to was Liberia, and then they had a civil war and we were evacuated. So the parents of volunteers shouldn't have heard that last thing I just said. But then I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Ghana where I taught math and physics, and you heard from my best student. My second best student is a member of parliament in Ghana. And, now I'm a faculty member here at University of Michigan in Earth and Environmental Sciences, and it's really enjoyable to teach large classes with eager Michigan students, and I especially enjoy, when I teach large classes, there's always a few students that come up and say they're interested in joining Peace Corps, so that's especially fun for me.
I'm Jenny Chase. I was a youth development volunteer in Azerbaijan from 07 to 09. I came here as a nominee, and then when I was serving, my mom and my then fiance, who's now my husband up there, came as parents while I was away the 2 years, and ever since then I've been back here each year. And it's been really great to sort of see the full circle. And my fiance was here while I was there. Anybody who's thinking about long-term relationships, it can work. It worked with us. It doesn't always, but I'm also one of Jean's mentors, so I've gotten to meet some people who were at various stages in the process to kind of share my experience about either just that part of the world or Peace Corps process in general. So if anybody has any questions for me, I'm more than welcome to. I'm really happy to be here.
My name is Claire. I served in Tanzania from 2006 to 2008 as a secondary school physics teacher. I've been lucky enough to be back to my school since I returned to the U.S., and that was just a wonderful experience. I also brought back a husband. He's right here. I don't remember what I brought, but I didn't need all of it. I didn't need any of it. But the best gift that I ever had shipped to me was a bag of marshmallows.
So I'm Neil, and I was brought back by a wife. Also Tanzania, 2006 to 2008. I taught chemistry. I guess, yeah, you don't need anything because there's people living there, and you're a person, so they got it covered. But the thing I specifically remember not needing was padlocks, because Peace Corps told us to bring like 3 padlocks, and I brought them, and I didn't use them for 2 years. And then when I was leaving, I was like, I'm not carrying these back, so I gave them to my students, and I said, whoever can figure out how to open this, it's yours. And so it was a little English test at the end of my service for my students. So, bring them anyway.
My name is Mary Schwartz. I was in Togo in West Africa from 82 to 84. And I was a high school math teacher. I was told to bring a Swiss Army knife, that would be helpful. And I didn't know what a Swiss Army knife was at the time. And they said, you can probably like at an Army surplus store. So I went to the Army surplus store and I said, well, I'm going to Africa and I need some kind of knife. But I got a gutting knife, so I brought a gutting knife. And it wasn't really necessary, but I did use it to cut my food.
Hi, I'm Sarah Nechtel. I served in Guatemala from 2007 to 2009 with Mackenzie. I I guess, yeah, everything I brought with me I didn't really need. I kind of packed for it like it was going to be one big camping trip, which it's not. I would say the most useful thing I brought with me was duct tape.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Duct tape.
Highly recommend that you bring some.
Yeah.
Next to the marshmallows, that's important.
Yeah.
My name is Andrew Bracken. I served in Cape Verde from 2008 to 2010, and then Peace Corps response after that in Mozambique. I was a small enterprise development volunteer, so I built latrines and worked at a winery, and it was the best Peace Corps assignment. So what I brought that I didn't use was a can opener, which my host mom thought was the stupidest thing ever. It taught me how to use a knife, which my biological mom thought was the scariest thing.
My name is Jimmy Schneidewind. You may remember me. I served in Mozambique from 2007 to 2009, and I was a community development volunteer and unofficially a soccer instructor. I think that the most useless thing that I brought with me was a solar shower. If you think you stick out in sub-Saharan Africa as a white American, try hanging up a solar shower. It will exacerbate the situation.
I'm Nicki Sandberg, and I served in Honduras from 2010 to 2012 with my husband. And I was a business volunteer, so I worked mostly with women's groups, teaching them how to use email and do finances and marketing. So there were two things I thought of that I didn't need. One was one of those like wind-up rechargeable radios that has like all the plugs for like a cell phone and like an emergency battery and all those sort of things. I never used that. I also thought it was necessary to bring with me about 2 years worth of deodorant. So I brought a lot of that back. Actually, I had about 6 sticks that I brought. So you can buy deodorant wherever you go. You don't need to bring it all with you at once.
Hello everyone, I'm having a good chuckle with these. Rollin Johnson, I served in Nepal and Burkina Faso 2003 to 2005. I'm trying to think of something I brought that I didn't need. I can tell you the things I did bring with me didn't last very long. Maybe one shirt and finding a good tailor is the best thing ever.
Hi, my name is Jeremiah Johnson. I served in the Republic of Vanuatu, which is in the South Pacific, from 2008 to 2010. I was mainly in like natural resource management on a land project that was trying to establish a nature reserve park in the center of the island to protect the upland forest and also to persuade local villages along the coast not to lease their ground to foreigners for development. And then I also worked with fishermen, which was particularly unique because I was out on the ocean a lot working with fishermen trying to get fish to the market from the rural areas, and so I had a lot of experiences out on the ocean in big waves and little boats that I just think I shouldn't be out here. I'm going to end up in Australia or something like that, like because the motors would die or they would catch on fire, all kinds of crazy things. But it was great. It was great, and gosh, you know, like a lot of people that have already mentioned, there's a lot of stuff I brought that never got used. I guess in Vanuatu, like part of it kind of gets south a little bit, so it cools off. So I remember reading in the country book packet, like maybe bring a long sleeve shirt or something. Never touched it. So depending on where you're going, I mean, once you get used to the climate, some of that I never used.
My name is Joe Otts. Spent my service in Fiji from 2007 to 2010, mainly working with the locals there to put on workshops for adaptive management of their fisheries resources and watersheds. Something you'll probably never need. I couldn't think of anything tangible. I mean, I guess I could, but I think expectations. Just don't bring any preconceived expect to learn a lot. It's going to be unlike anything you've ever done before. So don't bring those.
I'm Megan Levendeski, Peace Corps Kazakhstan 2008-2010. Officially, I was English as a foreign language volunteer for grades 2 through 11. My self-created project was Girls, Health, and Leadership. I would say, for those of you, sorry moms, but they don't need medication. They don't need like 5 things of Tylenol. You can buy those all there, and Peace Corps gives you a giant box that you also have to carry around, which is kind of annoying to have both of these. Also clothes, I really like clothes. I brought a lot of them, but it's also really fun to go shopping with like your local friends and buy local stuff, and you fit in better. Even in my small village with like no roads to the city, we still had Avon ladies. So you can get just about anything you need. I would say leave the room for like your computer and things like that. People are going to expect you to come with like some of those technological resources.
Hello, my name is Haven Allen. I served in Panama from 2009 to 2011. I was a community economic development consultant or volunteer. And I was assigned to a former Chiquita banana plantation community. They left about 5 years before I got there and took every job and tore up all the infrastructure and threw it in the ocean. So I was helping people write business plans, teaching them basic business capacity, and then also coach some baseball. I wish I got in with the Fishers Cooperative, but they wouldn't let me in. Like, they asked me to play softball and like go to all their family parties, but they wouldn't let me help them with their business. As far as things, I brought way too much, didn't need it, left it all behind. The only thing I would recommend is bring a good pair of shoes or boots.
All right, great. Thank you.
All right, well, we're certainly very, very grateful to have all these RPCVs here, and this kind of is a great display of the U of M community that's out there, the history of U of M with the Peace Corps, and we continue to encourage RPCVs to come out, but also to get involved with the semi-RPCV program in southeastern Michigan. It's a great resource for RPCVs, but then also for all of our applicants, everyone considering Peace Corps, really a great resource. So take advantage of that and everything like that. So our next speaker is going to talk to us a little bit about communication and the importance of it. It's important to everybody, especially those moms and dads out there. And he's going to talk a little bit and tell us about communication, staying in touch in Peace Corps, and its ever-evolving presence in developing countries. This is Andrew Bracken. He's introduced himself already. He's good at opening bottles and other stuff like that.
So as Brian said, this presentation is mostly for the parents out there and the loved ones. Luckily, communication has improved a lot. You know, talking to some of the volunteers who were there in the beginning, communication was, I don't know, every couple months, once a year, something like that. But today, that's not really true. And this whole technological revolution of cell phones, leapfrogging, landlines, and internet arriving in everywhere you can imagine is true. I recently got the chance to go back to my village in Cape Verde a couple weeks ago and got to see how in just a few years since I left there, everything has changed. So now all my friends are on Facebook, and even though they don't have electricity, they still find a way to use smartphones. But I'm just going to delve right into this presentation, and I hope you bear with me. So there's the mail. I found, personally, I didn't find it to be very reliable, although all my absentee ballots got to me. So that was pretty great. Even Cape Verde was nice enough to make a Peace Corps themed stamp for us, which was the international stamp, which was really awesome. However, I did not use the mail much, but I highly recommend that you use the mail for your volunteer, because there's nothing better than a care package. It's the greatest thing in the world. Your volunteer will love it. It will probably cost you a lot of money. But the gratitude is priceless. So this is one of my buddies getting a dartboard and random sauces and things that he absolutely loved. So another way to stay in contact, at least we're not alone anymore. The shortwave radio gets everywhere. That's how I got my news. I also brought one of those crazy expensive crank radios, which pretty much gave out immediately. Then I bought a $5 Chinese radio, which served me the rest of the time. don't worry about dropping $100 on a really fancy radio. So cell phones, like I said, cell phones are ubiquitous across the developing world. This is my cell phone, which when I brought it back to Cape Verde, everyone laughed at me because I thought it was really cool because it had a flashlight on it and it had Snake, which occupied a lot of my time. But the volunteer of today, this is what he or she uses. The iPhone, you see them everywhere, and now in Cape Verde, when I was there was no internet on my island pretty much. Now there's 3G everywhere. So that's really great, and family, you can get in touch with your volunteer, and they can probably get in touch with you as well. So even if just for a few minutes, because time can be pretty expensive. And here is a remote part of Mozambique, cell phone service everywhere. So even in Mozambique, I'm sure in Latin America, there's probably great cell phone service, Eastern Europe. So don't worry, you'll be able to get in touch with your volunteer. Peace Corps pretty much demands that they have a cell phone these days. And also, volunteering is changing. So this was my site in Mozambique, which is a cubicle. We went off and did field work a lot, but there's internet, I was given a computer, and this is kind of the way that the volunteers work these days. And getting back to internet, so I saw this conversation on the Peace Corps Mozambique Facebook page. And so it's a discussion about different options for internet technology. And apparently a Vietnamese company ran fiber optics all throughout the rural areas in Mozambique. So again, another way that you can stay in touch with your volunteer, they can stay in touch with you and tell you that they need marshmallows or duct tape or whatever else. And then again, getting back to internet. So when I landed on my island, there were less than 5 internet cafes. You could get dial-up, but it was terrible. And I had internet access about once a month. I went back a couple weeks ago. There's 3G everywhere. The government has Wi-Fi hotspots in every municipality. And the airport has free Wi-Fi. So it was the best internet we had on the whole trip. And in case of emergency, Peace Corps often will issue one person a satellite phone. Just in case there's a civil war or a volcanic eruption. You can use it anywhere. It's really expensive, but it will get you to safety. So don't worry, in case of emergency, you see that article in the newspaper about something's going on where your volunteer is. They're never out of touch, so don't worry. And lastly, the only thing better than a care package is when your family comes to visit you. So I highly encourage you to save up, start saving right now, and come visit your volunteer, because you can never know how important that is to the volunteer. I put my brothers through a lot of trials that they didn't necessarily find comfortable, but it kept me sane. It gave me the capacity to stay out and see my service through. So I think that's about all I have. But thanks so much for your attention.
Next, having already been speaking to lots of the family members already, we are going to call up all of the family members of prospective volunteers, leaving volunteers, nominees, whoever you might be. And if you could please come up, tell us who your child is and where they'll be serving or what sector they'll be working in. That'd be really great.
I'm Sherry Patron. My daughter Carissa is up in the purple there. She doesn't know where she's going yet, so we're really interested to find out, but hopefully a Spanish-speaking country. She majored in Spanish in college. And what was the other thing? That's it. Oh, and she's going into teaching.
There you go.
I'm Ted Haas. My son Mark in blue up there. I'm also with my wife Erica and Mark's brother David. And Mark is going to Togo in June. He'll be in the health sector.
My name is Janet Beefus, and I need my son Josh. But my son Travis is going to Panama. He's a civil engineer.
Our son Kyle serves in Jamaica, southeast corner, Morant Bay. And it does change you. He just gave us a posting on Facebook. As a parent, you find out how much your kids change, and you will change. He says, yesterday was truly an awesome day in Kingston. That is until I got bitten by that stray dog. things proceeded to get even worse after I was pickpocketed at the World Cup qualifying match. I guess I really didn't need my camera or wallet anyways.
But just to show how the experience has changed you, last year we shared the story how he was asked to honor his family by sacrificing the goat for Christmas dinner. This year he survived a direct hit by Hurricane Sandy. But then after he sent this message, the next night he said this: "If you saw my status about last night, you know it ended really poorly for me. I'm really okay with the fact that my camera and wallet were stolen. They were only replaceable material objects. It was a nonviolent crime that occurred without any confrontation. After witnessing some of the events that can happen here in any given moment, I've really got no reason to be upset when you think about it. Today I spent the day with awesome Peace Corps volunteer. We were invited to Reggae Falls for a gathering of Lions Club members from all over Jamaica, including the Custos of St. Thomas. Swimming, sunshine, jerk chicken, ultra-competitive board games, and networking were all great reminders of just some of the little things that have made this Peace Corps experience so worthwhile. It seems surreal to me that I'm living and working here in Jamaica, in a country with some of the friendliest and amazing individuals in the world that I've met thus far. I really feel like one of the luckiest people on the face of the earth. I wish you all that experience the second year. First year's not that way.
My name is Dawn. My daughter, Jessica DiTrio, is going to Lesotho, which is an independent country in the middle of South Africa. And she leaves in June, and she's going to be working with youth in an HIV/AIDS prevention program. They have a 25% HIV infection rate in that country.
My son, Stephen Vermont, is right now in Namibia, and he will be finishing this year. He's teaching mathematics.
I don't actually have anything here. My greatest friend, Maria, is has a social working degree, her master's degree, and then her undergrad was journalism and African history. So I have no idea what she's going to be doing. I think it's something in a hospital, I'm not really sure.
Health sector.
Okay, health sector. So she's on her way to Rwanda in June.
My name is Robert Hotaling, and I'm here because my wife is serving in the Peace Corps. We've been married for about 43 years, and before we were married, she told me that she was going to do this. She had seen John Kennedy when he was campaigning. She's from Connecticut, and that certainly made an impression. But the day she retired, she applied to the Peace Corps. And she was accepted and assigned to Romania. She is living in a rural, isolated farming village. She was the first American to ever go to that village. She is living in a convent/orphanage because it's the only place in town for anyone to live who isn't a resident. And it's been quite an experience. It's a 7-day-a-week job. And most of the time she has electricity and running water, but not all the time. She calls every day. And she recently discovered that it was assumed that she was a spy because why else would a stranger come to this town? She's gradually been accepted, and she has to speak Romanian, English, Italian because the orphanage is run by an Italian order, and some French. By the time she returns in June, I will have been over 5 times. 3 times in Romania, once in Istanbul, and once in Vienna. I worked until just a few months ago, so I am now retired too. But it's been an incredible experience, and it's never been easy, but certainly very rewarding.
This is my wife, Sandy. My son, Steve,
has been nominated with his wife, Alexis. They don't know where they're going yet. Steve is probably going to teach English, and Lexi is going to do something in the medical field. And I'm not sure when they're going. It might be in October. That's all I know at this point. I've never been there.
Hi, my name is Katie, and my daughter Amel is currently serving in Madagascar. She's actually on a small island off the northeast coast called Ile Sainte-Marie, and she teaches English to middle schoolers and high schoolers. And she'll be back in September, and we were able to talk to her on phone once a week. Every Sunday morning, me and her dad, and she'd chat. She doesn't have internet in her home. She has to go to an internet cafe, and sometimes it's working and sometimes it's not. So, you know, but she deals with it, and it's been quite the experience. I'll share one thing that you know, when she first got there, she's like, you know, she learned French in Malagasy. That's what they speak there. And the little kids in her village or whatever, when they would see her, they would say bonjour, and she would greet them in Malagasy, which is their language. And when she would do that, they would look at her and they would run away because they're used to seeing tourists. A lot of tourists, French tourists, come to this island. Well, now she's been there, you know, a year and a half, and the other day she was walking into town to go pick up her mail, and these little girls were talking in Malagasy, and she could hear them. They're going, "That's the English teacher." And so she said hello to them, and they walked with her, and they marched, and they did, you know, follow the leader into town. So she feels accepted, and she's really enjoying it.
I'm Danette Lee, and this is Bill Phillip, and our son Eli Phillip is going to Sierra Leone in June. He's going to be teaching English to 7th to 12th graders. And it was very helpful to hear what he didn't need to bring, because we were just talking about the long list of things that it seems like he might need. So that's kind of a relief to know.
We're just so proud of him, basically, to make this move. There's not a lot of people that want to step out, and he's willing to make that step. So we can't be more proud of him.
I'm Yvonne Hopp. This is my husband, Ron Hopp. Our son, Chet, is in Panama. He has been there, it's going to be a year, and he is doing environmental work, helping his community develop latrines and water. They have no electricity. They don't really have much anything. We were very fortunate. We went in December to meet him in his village. I got that experience of the mother and mother meeting, and it was wonderful, and we're very proud of him. He's done a great job. He's thoroughly enjoying the experience. We are planning on going back. The best experience we had when we went down there was one of his village community members. Everybody scattered out for sometimes hours as far as a hike, walked over to us before we left to tell us, which my son's name in his village is Toji, and he said to us when we left, "Toji, my people," and that meant the world. It was wonderful.
It was a great experience. A funny story is the community said don't build, he built a hut. They had to bring the wood down from hours of hiking. And so he built a nice shack, and they said don't build it up so high because the winds blow here in Panama. He's up in the mountains.
Nice.
Well, lo and behold, the roof blew off about 3
3
weeks ago. So now he's in there without a roof, so he's fixing that.
Yeah.
But the communication for the parents, it is very good. And you know, if you get a chance to travel there and see how they're accepted in the community, it's really neat. So I mean, it's great that these young people do this, and the people that are retired. So
yeah.
Good for her. So.
My name is Elda Aguilera. My daughter Liani is currently serving in Costa Rica. Last year when I came, she'd only been gone for about a month, so now it's a year and a month. It's been up and down, even though it's a beautiful country and pretty much modern conveniences and everything, but still, as we talked about, the cultural differences are still there. I think the most interesting thing is, first of all, I know that most Peace Corps volunteers write blogs. They're the most interesting things to read. So if you go search and read these blogs, because you're going to be astounded. Sometimes I feel like I'm meeting my daughter for the first time when I read her blog, because she posts things out there that she probably would never tell me. Another thing that I want to put the parents at ease, the relationships that the young people and older, it doesn't matter what age you are, I think, do establish with their host families is amazing. It really is another family. And my daughter had the luck to actually have two, because she trained in one place, so she was with a host family for the first 3 months. Then they sent her somewhere else with another host family. So she has two, which is wonderful. About 3 months after she was there, she got meningitis. And if it weren't for that host mother taking care of her, it would have been very tough. So, you know, rest assured that wherever they are placed, they're very well taken care of. And the Peace Corps people were wonderful with her. The care that she received was superior. So that should put some of you at ease. On the lighter side of things, we do communicate through emails, Skype, phone. The night of the Oscars, I got like this urgent email, boop, popped up on my phone. Mom, you know, Skype. So I put the Skype, she goes, can I watch the Oscars? So here I am with my, you know, computer on the bench, facing the phone, and of course we had to share this moment, so I pull up a chair, you know, and we're both watching TV, and during the commercials I muted, I turned the computer to me, and we talked, and so I sat for 3 hours side by side with her. She loved it, right, and I spent the time with her. So it's been a wonderful experience, and I did go in November, and it was really great.
I'm Dave. No, I don't have any kids. No, my kid sister's not sure where she's going yet, but somewhere probably in the health sector in September, hopefully.
I'm Susan Wilson. My husband
Richard Wilson.
Yeah. And our daughter Danielle has been accepted as a nominee. So she's graduating here in May in architecture and history, and I'm not sure where her assignment will be. And we know she'll do very well whenever she does.
I'm Bob Gillette. This is my son Carlos. My daughter, his sister Leah Gillette, is accepted to go somewhere, but we don't know where yet, to do environmental education probably this fall, possibly Central or South America. Want to correct me?
I'm leaving
I was going to say, I'm hoping she gets married when she's down there.
That was my worry. My son is in China and he's teaching English. And with my husband, I'm Neela, my husband Bharat. And for Indian parents, it was really a big thing because everybody in our family, everybody is doing medicine, everybody is an engineer, except for our child wants to go in Peace Corps. They're saying, what are you doing? Are you not guiding them properly? What is it? And we are dentists, so he's like, everybody's just like blown away by that. He's going, you're sending him. And we are so proud of him, and we are, I think that's the best thing he's done. Like, he is so happy. As everybody, you're the last ones to talk, but I would just say it's such a wonderful experience. And even if you pay hundreds of thousands, he won't get this experience. And it's so unique, and we really think, and the best thing he tells us is that he's in best of his health because he's sleeping good in college days, drinking, late night. And now he says, Mom, I'm doing exercise. And the other thing I want to tell the parents is the other seniors or other volunteers who are already there, they are just amazing. That's another family. They have like groups, maybe once in 6 months, they all meet together, they have again orientation. So they connect so well, and I think we are blessed to have a child like who's interested in helping. How do you tell a child not to work or help people? So I think We are in the right place. We have a Peace Corps family now.
And she all the time keeps on telling me that actually I'm a mom.
I'm the dad. I say, go, go.
When he applied to Peace Corps, I said, okay, he's applying, that's okay. He got, and okay, and I had to accept that, okay, it's good. But to tell you that, who is going, and to tell you the parents, the world is much different, as he said, about the communication has changed. He was for 4 years in college in University of Pennsylvania, Philly. We never spoke to him twice. Now we Skype him pretty much every 2 to 3 times a week. So it's like, and sometimes I ask him, are you really in Peace Corps? Because he has got all the facilities that communication-wise and social integration was somebody said here that you will start noticing the change. And this was a change in the very first month of he was with host family. Host family had a small child, 2 years old. His name is Lala. And Lala doesn't speak anything else. Family doesn't speak anything but Chinese. Sriram doesn't speak anything but English. But he said that, Dad, I'm just like Lala. Lala is exploring the world. I'm exploring the world. He doesn't know how to communicate to me. I don't know how to communicate. But at times, Lala's grandmother reminds me of Mom because I still throw things in my room, and without telling me, she comes, picks up the things, does my laundry, and comes back. So those families are also really, really good families there. So as far as a mom, I'm saying, like, okay.
So our next presentation is going to be by Nicki Sandberg. She served in Honduras from 2010 to 2012 as a business development volunteer. She also served with her husband, Nolan. And she's currently a GIS analyst over at the School of Natural Resources. And she's going to talk about what do volunteers do with all of their time? What kind of projects do volunteers do? So I just want to share with you a story today about one particular project that I worked on that to me really epitomizes what it means to be a Peace Corps volunteer. So I lived in a pretty big town. There were about 20,000 people, but it was surrounded by dozens of small communities up in the mountains. And it was really great because I could live in the city and have all the big city sort of amenities, but I could also go out and work in the rural communities where a lot of work was really needed. And I was a business volunteer. So for my primary project, I worked with women's groups, working on things like basic record keeping, basic finance, marketing, how to use email. And while I really enjoyed working with the women's group, my real passion was food. That was something I was so excited about. And I knew I wanted to do a project that incorporated that passion in some way, shape, or form. So after about 6 months at my site, and really 6 months is not that long of time, you really don't have a good idea of what you're doing still. I found out about a charla, which is basically like a workshop, that the Peace Corps recommended to teach basic nutrition and, say, food preparation. And so I was like, this is great, this is going to combine my interest in food, I'm going to implement this right away. And luckily I found a great NGO that was willing to partner with me. They were going to buy all the materials, buy all the supplies, take me to the community, and I was actually going to teach them how to do this charla so that not only could we do it together, but they could do it after I had left. It seemed really ideal. And the charla was really intense. It was an 8-hour, full-day charla full of activities. So we were going to do hand washing, we were going to do water purification, I was going to do a cooking demonstration, I was going to teach them how to recognize signs of diarrhea and how to treat it. It was just really intense. So we had everything planned. Me and one other person from the NGO were going to go do our first charla. So on the day we were going to do it, I woke up really early, got all my stuff together, mentally preparing myself for my first sort of big training event. I get to the office, and they say, "Fíjese que," which in Spanish means sort of like, about that. "Fíjese que, we're not going to go with you to this charla today." So I was torn between drive you up to the community today. I was like, great. So in my head, I'm going through plan B. I have to do this whole trial by myself. Now I had prepared for it, and I was totally, you know, I had prepared everything, but I had not planned on doing it all by myself. So the 1 hour bumpy truck ride to get to the very remote community was unbearable. I was contemplating this task in front of me. We arrived at the community. It was at the top of a mountain. It was foggy. It was super cold. I didn't know who I was supposed to meet. The guy who drove me there started to take a nap in his truck. And so I started to unload myself, get myself ready. My hands were shaking. I was petrified. I was worried that my Spanish would be awful. I was worried that I couldn't do it all by myself. I was worried that no one would show up. I was worried that if they did show up, they wouldn't participate, that they wouldn't pay attention, that I would forget everything. I was worried that it was going to be a total failure. But I knew I had to do it. So I got up in front of the 20 women, all of whom showed up. I gave my charla. We did all the activities that I had planned. Before long, I had the women laughing. We were cooking together. They were learning how to purify water. I was teaching them about the food groups. And somewhere in the midst of all this chaos, I forgot about being worried. I started enjoying myself. I'm sure my Spanish was at some points unintelligible. I can't say that everything went perfectly, but it truly felt at the end of the day like I had made an impact. There are precious few other moments that have compared to this feeling of satisfaction, accomplishment, and fulfillment that I had after this very first successful charla. Now I went on to do 3 other charlas, also all by myself, in the coming months. But there were a lot of things I learned about myself after that very first presentation. The first thing is, there's going to be tons of opportunities for you to do work outside of your primary project area. And you should embrace every single one of them that you have an interest in. I think you'll find that the secondary projects are not actually secondary in terms of their importance or their usefulness. They allow you to explore things that are meaningful to you and engage in your community in so many meaningful ways. So I hope that you all take advantage of all those opportunities. Second, at some point during that trial, I realized that I had the capacity to do more than I ever imagined. And that's when I knew that I had crossed some magical Peace Corps threshold. I understood why they're always telling you to be flexible, adaptable, open-minded, innovative, determined. Things are going to go wrong. And even if you don't think you can handle it at first, you can. And you'll come out better for it in the end. I did. So I wish you all the best of luck in all the projects that you pursue during your service, and congratulations.
So now I'd like to have all of our applicants, if you haven't been nominated or haven't received your invitation, if you guys could all come up and just introduce yourself and just maybe why you decided to apply to the Peace Corps. Do we have any of our applicants here?
I'm a retired registered nurse, and my expertise is HIV/AIDS in a large inner city in Connecticut. It was the best nursing I've ever done in my life, and I was a sophomore in high school when President Kennedy spoke here, and it's something I always wanted to do, but I was diverted with 5 kids. 2 of them are here at the University of Michigan, and I'm excited, and I'm hoping I'm nominated, but I'm definitely going to go through the whole process. Had to take 3 computer courses to do the application process. No, I'm not quite finished yet, but I'm still going to have to take, now I'm going to have to learn how to do blogs, and I'm listening to all this. Yeah, it's scary. But anyway, I hope I do get nominated. I think it's just an amazing, amazing night tonight, just listening to everybody. It's wonderful. Thank you.
My name is Kelly Hill. I graduated actually from U of M in education almost 10 years ago. So I've been teaching middle school math, And I've just always wanted to go abroad and meet other people and just get involved in other cultures. I wanted to do more than just vacation places, just see how they live. And so I started in Abu Dhabi, and I taught 2 years there, and I loved that. And so I came home, and I said, okay, now I want to do more of a volunteer experience. And I knew that I could leave home. Abu Dhabi sort of gave me that confidence that I could leave home and take on something. So I decided on Peace Corps because I felt like it was one of the organizations that provided the most support and stability, and my mother would be okay with it. So I'm very excited. It's something that I've always wanted to do, so it's just really exciting to get to a point where you're getting the opportunity to potentially fulfill a dream that you've always had, you know, even since I was little. So just very excited about it. I have my interview with Judy Torres on April 12th, so everybody keep your fingers crossed, your toes crossed,
no pressure.
Your hair, and everything else today.
Hi, I'm Catherine Dillis, and I have been a math and science teacher in Detroit and teaching adult ed for the last 10 years. And I guess I just at some point decided it was time to do it in a volunteer way. I'm ready to retire anyways, pretty much, from the insanity of the city of Detroit. And yeah, and this seems like it would be a good thing. I think that my criteria is that I am safe and I'm doing something of value, you know, for my life, and I think that this is a real good place to do it, and I'm looking for adventure as well.
Hi, my name is Sarah Zaleski. I'm a graduate from Central Michigan University in 2011. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in journalism and French. It's always been an idea in my mind since I was a senior in college, and I actually decided to do it now because my godmother passed away in February, and she was probably the most selfless, caring person I know, and I just want to make a difference in the world, and in any way that I can, I'd be willing to do it wherever, whenever, and that's basically it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Yolanda Wilson. I graduated from Eastern Michigan with a social work degree back in 2003. Originally, I thought to go into to apply after I graduated, but something else came up in my life, so I figured now is the time, 10 years later. The reason why, because I always embraced what was different from, I guess, my own culture. When I had the revelation for me, when I was a English as a second language, like group volunteer for the Washington Literacy Program, I realized that how much the world is so small to me, and how much I had in common with people with different countries, and fascinated of the the different thoughts and concepts and everything. So my curiosity, I just always want to interact with others and help as much as I can. So.
I'm Hannah Constantine. I graduated from Eastern in social work, I think in 2008, it's hard to remember. And then from U of M, graduated with my master's and in social work. And I've always wanted to do the Peace Corps. Like, I kind of like have goals. And, well, everybody has goals, but in high school I was like set out that I wanted to, one of the things I wanted to do before I die someday, not that I would die soon, but is do the Peace Corps. and I just fulfilling my dreams, hopefully.
If we can have all the nominees and invitees come down. If you guys can all just say your name, if you've been nominated, what sector you've been nominated for, and if you've been invited, where you've been invited, what sector, and when you're leaving. And then maybe something you're excited about service, or something that excites you about service.
Sure, yeah. I'm Emily. I was invited to Madagascar, leaving July 10th. I'll be teaching English, second language. And I'm excited to learn Malagasy, to learn more languages, and to kind of experience somewhere I never imagined going. I never even thought of going to Madagascar before getting a place there, so I'm excited.
Hi, my name is Peter Batis. I'm actually a Master's International student at the School of Natural Resources. I'll be serving in Benin, West Africa, starting June 24th in the environment program, so I'm really excited about that. I'm just looking forward to just kind of the experiences that'll bring to me, because I know everybody's story is different, and mine will be no less so.
My name is Drew Watts. I'm going again to the Philippines this time around. I'm a PCMI student, leaving July 5th. Just going again because I loved it the first time. It was probably one of the biggest periods of personal growth in my life, and I just want to learn more again.
My name is Katie, and I've been nominated for health. I'm excited to find out where I'm going, and I'm really excited to see who I'll be by the time that I leave.
My name is Travis, and I'm going for environmental health in Panama. I'm excited about the hikes that we're going to do. I think I'm going to do a lot of those, and so that's what I'm excited about.
Hey guys, I'm Austin. I've been nominated to the environment program, potentially leaving in September. So I'm just excited to get out and see the world and all that.
My name is Mark. I'm leaving June 10th for Togo. I'll be working in community health and AIDS prevention. And I guess I look for two things in life, and to be challenged and to love what I do, and everything about the Peace Corps kind of lined up with that for me. It's a challenge, but it's a challenge you'll love. So.
Hey guys, my name is Steve, and I'm going to the Peace Corps with my wife, Alexis. We are nominated, however, we don't know where we will be. I keep picturing myself on the top of a mountain in Nepal. I picture myself in a desert in Africa. I picture myself in a, rural village somewhere. But I just know that we're going to be somewhere, and anywhere is going to be great.
And I try to picture myself nowhere, so I don't get my hopes up yet. But I'm most excited for getting really deep into another culture and trying to navigate the cultural cues together. I think it's going to be quite an experience. So.
And I'll be doing English.
I'll be doing, yeah.
My name's Tyler. I'm nominated for youth development. Don't know where yet. Definitely excited for the cultural different, seeing different cultures, experiencing new things and new people.
My name is Mercedes Broman. I'm invited to go to Georgia, and I have accepted to go next month, the 21st. I will be doing the sector called Economic Community Development, and they're saying I will be doing SEOD, which stands for Social Entrepreneurship and Organizational Development. And my husband says that, oh yeah, you will be teaching them capitalism. Those long words, but it's just that small.
I'm Chelsea. I'm nominated for education to potentially leave in September. I'm excited for the challenging experience and to really see what my stories are going to be like.
I'm Carissa. I was nominated for education, and I'm most excited to live somewhere new and just experience something different.
My name is Maria. I was invited to go to Rwanda for the health sector. I'll be doing HIV prevention. I'm excited to leave the country. I've never left the country, and I'm also really excited to stop serving tables.
I'm Julia. I've been nominated for a health sector position. I don't know where yet, and I'm excited to put my anthropology degree to use because right now it seems a little impractical.
I'm Katie. I'm nominated to leave tentatively in September. I'll be teaching English through youth development. And I don't know where, and I have to stop guessing because it's really not getting me anywhere.
I'm Annika. I've been nominated for
retirement to maybe leave in February. I'm excited to do some good in the field that I've been so passionate about my whole life and to lead a different lifestyle.
My name's Jessica, and I was invited to serve in Lesotho, leaving in June, the beginning of June. So I'm really excited. I applied because I really wanted to challenge myself, and it was something I wanted to do pretty much since I can remember, also since I saw this movie from the 80s starring Chevy Chase called Volunteers. If you guys haven't seen it, you should. When I watched it, I must have been about 7 or 8, and so I wanted to join the Peace Corps ever since.
Hi, I'm Sandy, and I'm leaving for the Philippines in July. And I think I'm most excited to meet the people. I'll be working with youth development, and I can't wait to go.
My name is Tori. I'm also going to Lesotho and doing youth development there. What I'm most excited for is the challenges, although I'm sure I'll regret saying that. I'm excited for the personal growth that will hopefully come out of that, but I'm also excited. Lesotho is a very rural area. It's up in the mountains, and I really hope that I can ride a horse for transportation. So. My only expectation.
Hi, I'm Leah. I've been nominated in the environmental sector, tentatively leaving in August, and I'm just excited to find out where I'm going. I feel like that's the first step. Yeah.
All right, my name is Elijah. I've been invited to Sierra Leone in June to teach English. The thing I'm most excited about is just the ability to immerse myself completely into a different culture. As a lot of other people over here say.
My name is Danielle Wilson. I'm currently a nominee. I'm not sure much beyond that what the details are, but I think more than anything, I'm really excited to experience community in a new way and to meet people and really challenge myself that way.
I'm Kelly. I'm nominated for education, potentially leaving in September, and I'm excited to learn more about the world and about myself.
Hi, I'm Karen. I'm nominated for teaching and set to leave in July, potentially. After hearing stories, I hope to find a husband, but I really want to develop my language skills and actually do the immersion process in another community, and hopefully like a host family, actually learn from them. And I'm really looking forward to being able to use my skills that I've gained throughout my life to assist them in whatever I can, but mostly to learn the different things that I'm sure they have to offer from their culture, their values, and
I'm Caitlin Bowe. I'm also part of the Master's International Program at the School of Natural Resources and Environment. I was just invited to go to Senegal. I leave at the end of September, part of the agriculture program. And this will be my second time going to Africa. I just love the vibrant culture. I know countries are all extremely different, but I'm really excited for the music and the dancing. That's a big thing in Senegal. So, yeah.
When you come back, we're here. Jean Paul's got a mentoring program for applicants. We also have a mentoring program when you come back if you want to link up and network with other volunteers. Jean will be here. We'll be here. I've got cards with our website. If you're not going to go for a few months and you want to come to one of our monthly gatherings or ethnic meals, grab a card, see our website. Good luck to everybody.
Thanks, Harvey. Again, a great program for everyone to look into before or after service. And now we've got some exciting stuff coming on. We're about to give a invitation to Peace Corps service. So Judy, our recruiter from Chicago, is going to call down our lucky invitee, and they'll reveal where they're going to serve in Peace Corps. Yeah.
Is everyone excited? A little nervous? Drum roll, please. Student Field, can you please come down? So, no pressure in front of everybody. Here is your invitation. please let us know where you will be going and what you will be doing.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm going to Dominican Republic in the health sector.
Thank you. You get a special Peace Corps pin as our newly invited volunteer. Yeah, we're going all long here, guys. If I can get this off. It is official. There you are. Congratulations, and if you want to talk more, you are. As far as everyone else goes, please remember to go ahead and keep in contact with me, and please let me know where you go. Placement does not actually let me know where you guys end up going. So I expect postcards from everyone. And if you guys have any other questions, I will be around. So please let me know if I could help you with anything else. Okay?
Congratulations, Julia. I remember I was living in Chicago and my mom got the invitation at home and opened it and over the phone told me where I was going and read me the entire booklet and everything over the phone for like 3 hours. So it's very exciting. So for some closing remarks, Rollin Johnson is going to come up and share about his experience. Rollin served in Nepal and Burkina Faso from 2003 to 2005. And he's currently the Director of Community Partnerships at the Ginsberg Center here at the University of Michigan.
You know, usually this is my second year doing this, so I want to thank you all. At least it was decent enough to invite me back, so I really appreciate it. And two, I feel both honored and it feels really tough after the people that have come up here before me. You heard some amazing stories from people, and I think the amazing thing about the folks in this room is it really becomes family and fraternity. I didn't join the frat when I was in college, but I feel like Peace Corps is like the frat I never joined. An endless amount of members that just keep coming. So I wanted to put up a few things here. This picture here this is one of my favorites from my service. For a couple of reasons. One, as you can see, I'm a little vertically challenged. I look really tall in that picture. So one, it makes me feel good. But the women you see in front of you are some of the most tenacious entrepreneurs I've ever met in my life. I got the experience to serve in a town in southern Nepal called Calais. And these women I was a business and development volunteer in both countries, and I work with a microfinancing bank in Nepal. And these women were folks, particularly this lady here. She was a center chief. Oh my goodness. I used to work in a manufacturing facility. I think she could run circles around that manager. But just talented people, given access to be able to run their businesses. I had some amazing experiences. I got to see a woman write her name on bank documentation for the first time after going through literacy training and numeracy training. And I remember in that moment seeing this lady do this. She was so excited. Nepali is written phonetically, so we're sitting there, she writes your name, my counterpart next to me turns it over, and I was like, that's her name. And she's just jumping around, she's like, I wrote my name. Folks are like crying, I'm just wondering if people cutting onions under my eyes. Be strong. And then you know, you kind of had that moment, you know, that Peace Corps volunteers, you had that moment where it's like this euphoric excitement, and then this stark, realistic realization at that same moment. You're like, oh man. And what happened there was I saw this woman write her name for the first time. And what I realized is this was her ability to be able to not only participate in her family's livelihood, but to be a part of just this improvement in her community. And then at the same token, was like, I'm one person. I can only do so much of this at one time. I can't be in every place at one time. That's the beauty of something like this. Because you might go over to one spot. You might meet just one person. You may just interact with one mom or one new dad. but the impact, and not just necessarily on them, on you, can be so profound, and the ripples can continue in ways that you never expected. The bank I worked at, our friend Jitharam, who still works with the organization, is now doing health care and health insurance through the bank for people to be able to protect their livelihoods that they've created. Other friends are continually doing amazing work. And then I have to show you this other picture real quick. I feel like that uncle with the slideshow. So these folks right here, this is middle Ama and Bua. That's my Ama and dad. And a new addition to the family. Well, he's not new now, he's a little big now. But, this woman here, when I was thinking about the story you were talking about, your moms, even when I talked to people, I was like, yeah, my family in Nepal. I was like, wait, I thought you were from Saginaw, Michigan. How do I work that? These folks were family, man. They took me in. I remember my first, Nepal was a little different setup, so I don't want to freak everybody out. But my first day in town was literally knocking on doors and be like, got an empty room? Got an empty room? No? And these folks crazily said yes for some reason. I don't know why. And that was the start of an absolutely amazing journey for me. Because those are two people that are family. She yelled at me like I was her kid. Turn the lights off, you gotta pay rent. Turn them off. She taught me how to cook. She told me to stay away from this one sketchy restaurant. She too said the best food was at her house as well. But she loved on me. They loved on me. They made me a part of the team, so to speak. I say I like to say because when you finish Peace Corps, it's going to look amazing on your resume. Like, you will have these things that you can check off that will pale in comparison to other people that you interact with. Like, sometimes you will just get an interview because somebody wants to talk to you because you went to Peace Corps. And the interview goes something like, you know, I always wanted to do that. You're really not qualified for this job. Just really it can happen. But if you notice, everybody that got up here and talked, everybody that said something, you didn't hear about how many projects they kicked off, and the value quarterly reports they had to do, and how many people they served, and how many people those people served, and what was the total impact, how many dollars saved. None of that was really mentioned tonight. Because the reality is, this experience is really about relationship. It's really about being somewhere where all of your stuff, all of you, and meeting some other people exactly where they are. If you go and you can't remember anything else from tonight, if you are looking in my mouth and seeing it move and thinking about your grocery list, remember, it is about the relationship. And all of what you see around here is just examples of that. You know, they talk to me, and my other friends and family from Burkina talk, and you know, the conversation usually goes, hey, how are you doing? I'm doing well. How are you doing? I'm great. I'm great. You married yet? No. You know, we know somebody. Oh, that's okay. Appreciate I'm good. But that relationship, every time I do this, I always kind of get the chance to go back. You know, you get to go back through memory lane, so to speak. Mine is more like old tattered notebooks and stuff. And I remember when I was sitting in my staging event and thinking about it, I said, so what's your goal for your service and all this stuff? And I like to call it a cosmic piece of wisdom that just took place. For some reason, I wrote down, if I go and my life is a little better and somebody else's life is a little better because we met, that's probably a winner. Now, you don't know now. There are going to be some days having that low bar is going to be awesome. Because some days you're going to get up, the only thing you're going to do is go to the post office. And the fact that you went and made it to the post office is a win. Relationship. There's a quote by a woman named Layla Watson, and I love it. And I use it a lot when I talk to students and other folks about entering and exiting community and stuff like that. And she says, if you've come to help me, you're wasting your time. But if you've come because your liberation is bound with mine, then let us work together. Every time I think about my service, I think about Peace Corps, I think about how it's tainted the work I do, how it's changed how I approach the world. I keep telling my partner, I'm slow for a reason now. I wait in lines different. I talk to people for random reasons. So where are you sending that package off to? You know? How's your mom doing? You know, just random stuff. I look at what it means to be in community a little different. I look at people a little different. When you run into volunteers, they seem to be really odd a lot of times. The more you get further around the process, and we joke about it. It's like a continuous stream of inside jokes. No matter if you served in when it first started in 1960, it's been a long day, guys. So whether you were early volunteer or mid-volunteer or late, there are these inside jokes that are just awesome, and nobody else gets them. But there's other pieces of that as well. When Jim talks about his mom, everybody in the room gets to nod. Because we all had a mom too. When we hear other folks talk about being left out there by the community to just go randomly do some stuff that you thought you were going to get some help on, and you realizing I'm not really qualified for this, we nod because we've all been there before. When we talk about what it means to sort of lead that place when you don't want to, those 2 years go real fast, especially the second one. The first one was a little slow. The second one flies by like. All of that means something. So 2 things I want you to keep in mind. One, like I said, it's about relationships. The final sort of fits around this idea of expectations. So I got some great advice from my Nepali APCD, that happened in Peace Corps. There's a lot of acronyms. So he was the program director. And one of the things he said, and it was sort of something like this, you get your envelope here, we got an envelope as well about where we're going to serve in our country. A specific location. He said, I want to warn you, before you open them up, I want you to lower your expectations. Because in America, you usually don't hear somebody say lower your expectations unless it's really, really bad. Just bring it down a notch. But he said that to us. And at first it was odd. Years provide great hindsight. I knew what he was telling me there. Not only was he telling me to lower these lofty expectations about hanging out on Everest or something like that, because it didn't happen. I actually happened to be in the one spot where you couldn't see the mountains unless it was really cleared out. What he was telling us was don't get shaded by the stuff that you want to have happen. Be present. Wherever you go, whether it's a dusty village way off the beaten path, whether it's a busy metropolis or a pseudo-metropolis, whether it's off the coast of something or a double landlocked routine like I did, be present. Because if all of you is present, then all of the people will get to know you, and you'll get to know them. Thank you so much for the time. I think I did pretty good on that one, right?
That concludes our presentation for tonight. Sorry we went a little bit over, but thank you again all for coming. One quick announcement, these were found out in the Great Hall, so if anyone is missing their sunglasses, come up and claim them. And then 2, if anyone would like a t-shirt, feel free to come down and grab them, kind of a first come, first serve. And thank you again all for coming and making this night so wonderful.